that's really like even now, like I know like 20 years ago they said that only 18% of the population was naturally redhead, and that it's a trait that can go away. Like it's declining every year. There's less and less. So you could be
an extinct.
I could be extinct.
Oh my gosh.
My hair color. I mean, you don't know, like either it was looked upon in England disfavorably, like oh you're evil.
Well, they say you're soulless.
But I think that back in the Iron Age, somebody who was red hair was revered because it was a rarity, you know.
So, and we should do a whole episode on gingers because the whole body chemistry and everything is totally different than everyone else's, which is fascinating to me.
You know, it's funny, like the sun hates me, so I hate the sun back. If I'm out in the sun, even with sunscreen on, within like, if I'm in the direct sun without shade, within 10 minutes, I feel like I'm going to puke.
Yeah, well, I feel like that too, but I think it's just because I'm pasty. But
I'm wicked pasty.
But anyway, sorry, we got off topic.
Yes, okay. So now we're going to the fun ones.
Okay, fun.
Okay, we're going to Ireland. We're going back to Ireland.
Okay.
And there were 2 bodies found pretty close together. Like, they were in different counties in Ireland, but the one they were found was, I don't know if I wrote it down, one was June of 2003, and one was in the same time frame. Like they were found almost in the same like time frame of each other. We'll go to Old Croghan Man first, and he was found in Croghan, Ireland, in the county of Offaly. I just love all the names. They're just sing-songy. I just love them. He was found in June of 2003. Only half his torso and his arms. He doesn't have a head. His head, he was decapitated and cut in half. So, and based on his arm span, he was probably about 6 foot 6 inches tall.
That's super tall.
Especially for Ireland in the Iron Age. That's like a giant.
I think that's anyone.
Yeah, right. And he was thought to have been of a king. Like this is probably the body of a king. And there's a lot of like, where he was found was near hills used for kingship ceremonies.
Okay.
So it's like this area they used
for royalty.
For like different ceremonies for the king. So like this body was found in an area where the king's stuff happened.
So it makes sense that he'd be a king.
He had a stab wound to his chest. He'd been decapitated and cut in half.
God.
And his nipples were mutilated. Yes, just to top it all off, because things aren't bad enough.
Cutting you in half isn't enough. I think it's your nipples.
They're going to mutilate your nipples. Like, okay. I read that. I was like, what?
I gotta Google what the meaning behind why.
Oh, I'll tell you.
Oh, you know. Okay, good.
They have theories.
Oh, good. I need to know this.
It's make you laugh here to puke.
Can't wait.
Yes. Okay, so the Clonycavan man was from the county Meath in Ireland, from Clonycavan.
Okay.
Bog. He was in his early 20s. His skull had been split open by a sharp implement, most likely an axe, to the top of the head, exposing his brain. There's brain material in the cut, and across the bridge of his nose and under his right eye. So he had these 2 hack marks in his head.
Ew.
Right. And then he was disemboweled.
Oh,
because
that's not good.
Right. And his nipples were missing.
What's disturbing with nipples?
And these are in the same area of Ireland in 2 different counties, so they're far apart. Like, they're far enough apart to be like, okay, what's going on?
Why are these nipples?
Why are these
this happening?
They're men. So it's like, okay.
Why are we taking people's nipples?
Yes, I don't understand. But both of these bodies were found near hills used for kingship ceremonies at the time.
So they're probably
not the same hill, but
in that county.
Each county had their own. Right. So there's this man named. They both lived in like 400 to 175 BC in the Iron Age. They both were found in different bogs, so they're totally different bogs. They're not connected.
Different people, different everything. Yeah.
Eamon Kelly, who was formerly the keeper of antiquities at the National Museum.
I love people that are like
that.
I want to be that.
He proposed, his theory is
good.
Great.
I can't wait.
Okay. He proposed a theory that these were kings who had failed the people. Something happened bad, and that these kings had to pay the price.
Okay.
Because of what was happening. There was a sacrifice that needed to be made. And he said the role of the kings was to ensure milk and cereals to the people, which is like they have to have milk and they have to have grain for food.
Right.
So for some reason, whether there was a drought or a pestilence, a plague, something happened to make it so these people were
without.
Right. And it said that they could tell, some of these bog people, they could tell that they had history by their teeth of bouts of starvation. You know what I mean? Where there were periods where they didn't have enough food.
Right.
But he also says, and he quotes St. Patrick, he said, St. Patrick tells us that sucking the king's nipples was a rite of fealty.
Oh, God.
Yes.
No.
So, the mutilated nipples remove you from kingship in this life and the next. You can't be a king without your nipples, because you need those. I don't know, it's just like the whole give you milk thing. Like, you're not going to get milk from those things.
It's the wrong, no, they don't have milk. It's the wrong
There's no milk there. I read that, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that. Haha, we took his nipples, he'll never be king! I know! So, like, he believes that all of, there's like a really good, there's a book out there called Bog People by Peter Wilhelm Glob. He's very Dutch.
Yes.
P.V. Glob. Last name's Glob. I hate that last name. I don't mind last name being Glob.
Maybe if you're Dutch, it's not.
Right.
Now.
And, like, he believes that all of these bodies they found have all been sacrificed. And I don't, it could very well be.
Right.
Although some of them sounds more like they were ambushed and killed and left there to die.
I'm sure there's probably, I mean, I'm sure that it's like, oh, get rid of them in the bog. Like, that makes sense.
Right. And I definitely think, like, the Talon band, like, nobody will ever really know.
Right.
What happened. But I think Talon Man was probably sacrificed. Just because of
the way it was
look
done,
we'll post a picture of him, and he really looks peaceful. Like, he looks really peaceful, and the way it looks like he was laid a specific way.
Yeah.
And I just think that, like, I don't think if he was executed and they hung him, I don't think they would unhang him and lay him in that position.
To such great care to.
Like, most people in that time that were executed, they just left them there.
They just like dug a hole underneath.
They didn't even dig a hole; they just let the animals eat them. You know, so it's like good riddance, you know. Or a murder victim too. It's like if you killed somebody in the bog, you just leave them in the bog. You just toss them in and run away.
Like, yeah, you wouldn't be like, oh, we took them in.
Right. But the fact that most of the bodies they've been finding, it's like what they ate. It makes them think like they were eating something special, right?
Yeah.
And then it's in the winter, so this is definitely a fertility sacrifice.
Makes sense.
Especially because they're naked except for their noose or their hat. It's just odd.
Right.
You know, and the woman they found, who they thought was Queen Gunhild, her clothes were folded and laid on top of her. Like, yeah, so she was naked, but her clothes were on top. Like, they folded them.
They
took
time to fold her clothes, right? After
they pinned her to the ground with slaves. Like,
who will fold your clothes though and put them on top of you?
But yeah, it's pretty fascinating, and like some of the bodies are real smushy looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They definitely look like
lots of feet, Colleen.
I hate
Colleen.
Feet.
8 feet. And I think right now the Talland man, like what they had, he's on display in the Museum of Antiquities in Talland, Denmark. You can go in there and he's in like a bulletproof glass case.
He's still preserved perfectly.
He's still there. His head and his foot, his foot. This is his head and his foot. I go, his what? I go, it's food. What? And it's like his foot. They showed it. They just had his foot and they were bringing it. I'm like, I'll even eat that. It's just like, literally, you can see like a first skeletized, but his toes are all perfect. His toes are preserved, and then it's like the top part of his foot's like skeletized.
People probably love hearing my gagging. It's probably not making anyone want to vomit themselves.
I did hold it out off to the end. The foot
Thank
stuff.
you. I appreciate it.
But they preserved him with wax. So, like, they take his head. I watched this documentary on, it's called The Living Dead series on Fossum Documentaries. It's all free. It's, like, weird ads. But it's all pretty old. I'm pretty sure it's, like, from the 90s, because it feels pretty old.
Feels pretty 90s.
The 90s are the early 2000s. And the guy is Nielsen, some archaeologist from Denmark who studies bog people. It was mostly him talking in the documentary, and Niels Linnerup.
Oh.
Yeah, and he's Danish. And he was just talking about all the different things they're doing. They're doing CAT scans, and they've done, but they just did it on his head because they said the rest of his body was not preserved.
Okay.
But you look and you see it, but it's like they took his head off. Like, it's his head.
It's just floating around.
It's attached to, like, his body. It looks like him, but they just molded it off of the actual remains.
Oh.
But the rest of him, I think, is basically just
flat.
Gone.
Oh.
I think it just isn't there. It was the 50s, so
yeah,
they probably didn't preserve him the way they should have. But they coated him, so his head isn't smooshy. It's like wax coated, so it's like.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and his foot too.
Great. Glad they did that to his foot. That's important.
Yeah. But none of the other. That was the only that documentary they talk about how they only really just have his head and his foot now. But none of the other things that I read, like I did a lot of research on the Smithsonian magazine site, and like I got myself a subscription to this Smithsonian magazine because
a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, I love this. I love National Geographic, all that.
Oh yeah.
So they didn't talk about that. They just talked about all the things that they've done.
Right.
But I think they don't say like, oh, the only thing left is his head. But they're just kind of. I don't know. I'll link the article.
Yeah, we'll link everything in there.
I think the Nazis even had tried to put the Bog people in their narrative where they were like their ancestors.
Oh,
and they were.
boy.
I know. I was just like, I'm not even gonna
get over yourselves.
Skip
Nazis.
The Nazi shit. I was like, I don't need to hear.
We don't care about them.
Like they're stupid.
They sure are. Well, that was fun.
Yeah.
I really liked that. And I didn't know anything about the Bog people other than I looked up pictures, but that was it. And I didn't read, so it was all...
You probably saw that when you look up pictures of the Bog people,
definitely saw
the Talon man.
The Talon man.
Because he looks like he's asleep.
Yeah, definitely saw him.
When you look up close, you can see like all the whiskers on his face. It's crazy.
It is.
It's creepy and crazy.
So if you like this episode, you should definitely make sure you follow us because we do awesome episodes every week. We release on Mondays, and you can reach out to us if you have ideas and share what you've liked best so far that we've done. This is our 4th episode, so we're really excited to keep going, and people keep following us. It's so exciting! But you can find us on Facebook at The Cousins Weird, and also TikTok and Instagram, Cousins Weird. Follow us there.
Send us an email at thecousinsweird@gmail.com.
Yeah. And we will be back next week for another great episode.
It's a Colleen week.
It's a Colleen week. I already know what I'm doing. It's a doozy.
No.
But yes, reach out to us. Let us know what you like, and if you have ideas for other episodes with cool stories we can talk about, like send them to us. We want to hear what you guys want to hear. So I hope you have a great week.
Stay freaky, friends.
Freaky friends. Bye.
Bye.